A couple days ago was Sandalphon's birthday here, one of my avatars, for Guild Wars 2. This game has evolved over the last 10 years in incredible ways. It's like where the game was fun to play in a certain way at the beginning, it's kind of evolved into even more fun based on adding mounts and all the things you can get into. Now, some people, will argue that the game is older, lackluster graphics, and some of the events or gameplay can be kind of silly with other players. There is a big, vast difference between how Guild Wars 2 plays compared to some of the earlier MMO RPGs like EverQuest or RuneScape. It even plays differently than Guild Wars 1. So, people have their different variants of views. My view is because it has the novelties and the way that it is constructed with the jumping puzzles. Guild Wars 2, in many ways, to me, has a longevity for families for years to come based on if the company is able to provide the service and host the servers here for it. But really, it's a unique game in that it has so many different game modes that brings it brings to light what pretty much the range of what an MMO, massive multiplayer online role playing game is. And oh yeah, today was a free mount, and I already got his birthday gift. So celebrating 10 years of Guild Wars 2. But today, if you don't know, if you play Guild Wars 2, or if you want to create a free account, right now they have the ability to get a free mount as part of the daily free offerings. So I need to log into the other account that I have and access that free mount. The other account is for friends or perhaps my son if he wants it. But yeah, there's always gifts and perks and different things that are coming out. So it's always kind of interacting with our real world in many ways as we interact with the game. And, knowing that people are online on Facebook and they're doing stuff with one another might as well make sense of our purpose for live streaming. And so that's why I've been real big on the whole networking and real big on creating a interwoven methodology for cross promoting beyond just expecting the system's going to be able to completely do it for you. There has been a lot of updates, organizing for this reasoning, because really it kind of has to naturally be organized for that reasoning based on bandwidth and technologies, capabilities, and people's computers, what people are capable of. I'm all about starting simple and small based on what we got now and allowing it to grow into more advanced, streamlined synapses or interwoven communications and methodologies for marketing, purchasing, creating services and being able to sell them. There's a lot of different tools available to do these things, and that can be the real big challenge sometimes, is that all the different tools can be overwhelming for anyone who's just wanting to jump in and actually do something, actually make something, actually earn a living on the side or make a secondary buffer income to whatever they're doing as work to eventually, ideally become sustainable in their environments based on their investments with the extra currencies that are flowing their way. So the more people that are able to work with currencies in a organized, responsible way for the intent of developing abundant, sustainable environments for themselves and families is basically the micro fix to a macro challenge that all of us should be facing now with a bird's eye view and cloud web-based surfing dynamics in play. So the surfing aspect is fun, where no one really has to be involved in anything and people can just watch on the side. And then the responsibility, with great power comes great responsibility, is the whole nature of what we do with that level of knowing that we can have fun and not necessarily have to participate, because the cloud isn't the same thing as being in real life, in front of a situation, which gets really freaky because, there's even real life, times when people are so busy in their day-to-days and they have their modalities, or they're afraid of getting involved, that it can be like that too, where people, won't interfere with situations going on, or, challenges of the dynamics of based on what we've created with the physical environments, what we've built prior to the technologies and worldwide virtual spaces that are starting to rise in our participation with them. And that's why I'm big on Guild Wars 2. Is it has a lot of different gameplays for a lot of different ages, for not just men, but also there's a lot of women who play this game. And so it allows for a lot of, masculine, feminine energies to come together for a fun, unique purpose based on the game being made. And there's all these different achievements and challenges and ways to progress, not just in the game, but as an individual based on your presence with your avatar. So that means, like, there's certain challenges when it comes to taking down boss mobs, or certain challenges when it comes to being able to clear events and be able to figure out puzzles in the game. The jumping puzzles are a blast in and of itself. So, I really can talk endlessly on the different aspects of the game, but that just takes away from you experiencing it and playing it for yourself type deal. So what I've been doing with this character, Jay Sumner, is this is one of my guardians. I've been working on let's see here. I've been working on getting map complete done again for Cantha, so I can make a legendary 3.0 weapon. And the legendary weapons require that you do in-game stuff. It's not as easy as just purchasing all the goods on the trading post and making it. Even though you can purchase a lot of the items on the trading post to make it. Or you can purchase it straight out. The legendary 1.0 weapons, the first generations of the weapons that the developers made to be found or made, are purchasable, same as the third generations, the recent ones that were released with the new expansion that came out in February of 2022. So these are new legendaries based on the new expansion. And it's kind of like Pokemon. You got to catch them all, and it can be a long journey challenge just to make one. So making multiple of them is kind of, you're really getting into the game beyond just the PvP or world versus world or fractals or dungeons that are available to play with other players. There's things in those realms that add up to making a legendary as well. So there's kind of a bunch of different things going on in the game, and usually they all kind of work with each other to making sense of your overall experience of what you're doing and why you're playing. In the simplest way to say, a lot of it is player versus player kind of dynamics. That was the original intent of Guild Wars 1, was to be a really entertaining kind of like a, what's it called? Not dungeon, like Coliseum kind of battle royales between other players. So it has this really big player versus player feel to it, but the game doesn't have like player versus environment, open world player versus player. So if this is player versus environment here that I'm interacting with, and so no player can come up on me and just like kill me. But there are games like that, and there's games where there's servers set up dedicated to that kind of gameplay, where anybody can just kill you while you're doing your player versus environment stuff. But I've never been big on that, and that's why another reason I enjoy Guild Wars 2 is because it has the distinct places that you can have it to where you have skirmishes with other players. Whether you set yourself up directly to do that, um, within a certain zone, um, or you join the world versus world or player versus player, and you participate in those ways. One big thing is, I like communicating with people, but I'm just not big on, oh, word, I got a mastery point for Ended Dragons. I'm real big on communicating with people. I'm just not real big on communicating with people without something in the background going on, like I'm talking down to y'all. Like I like communicating in a way that says, hey, you're able to join me in this journey now that we have the cloud, and to take a look at your actions based on the social media sites and reason for those social media sites to be there, and what the purpose is for the social media sites, to gain a sense of what your purpose is and use of, and that's any software. What is the purpose of Guild Wars 2 here? For me, there's many layers of like education to it, being able to comprehend even markets and trade markets, and kind of get a feel for prices going up and down, and making investments, long-term investments, short-term investments. The game has a lot of real-world applications that can give insight to how to participate in our real world as you get older. So it's like, in many ways, I've been kind of playing alongside of the real world as I'm learning this game. I'm also live streaming here. I'm creating game items. Like this is a legendary weapon called Eternity, and that kind of gives that view for while I'm live streaming here. You kind of get that sense of different things that you can accomplish in the game and what it looks like. So it's kind of like showing off the shiny. But that shiny is a presence for any individual who's an avatar or creates that stance, for being able to represent in a way for networking and socializing and communicating business, and the business should be the Most High God's business. It's our Father, our Most High God's world. It's the universe. The whole thing belongs to our Father, our Most High. And that's where, our sensibilities come in with being children of, and tapping into that universal divine expression of, good, better, best, what is good, what is better, and how can we be the best for one another as humanity now with the cloud. And so I don't know the answers completely. I'm here to just put my hands out and say, anyone who wants to hold hands here in the 7-day givebacks, pay it forwards through online networking and the Facebook dynamics in play, as well as Instagram and YouTube. There's ways to advance through blogging, through pinning blogs together is how I look at it. It's as simple as learning how to use widgets and M codes. YouTube even has M codes. Start writing for the public as a newscaster of sorts, but doing it in a way that you're hobby oriented, sharing different niches that you're in, or just sharing who you are as a creator, content creator, or even just a brand ambassador where you're promoting other people's stuff, but you have a place to stand for yourself to be able to, give and receive, and that's your equitable playing field with the cloud as a middle grounds. And then from there, you can, stick around and build family-based partitions, or you can grow. In whatever different ways you can create, you can take down a blog and replace it with another and interweave it. You're not stuck to a certain presence, but it allows you to start playing around with learning how to be involved with the presence. And that's why I love MMORPGs, not just Guild Wars 2, but EverQuest or World of Warcraft, whatever MMORPG you're into. There's like Black Desert and Blade and Soul, Ultima, RuneScape. There's all types of video games online. even FPSs and first-person shooters, you still, I'm talking about a movement where you're blogging and getting one another to pin blogs together for 7-day pay it forwards, givebacks as a way to inspire artists who are also doing stuff, whether it's cooking or music or an actual presence as a band. You can be able to have a personal avatar blog that links to those things and cross promotes for those just as much as you're cross promoting for other people that you meet out there who are looking to do this. In that, you'll be able to find people because you're on the search to be able to travel with or make, create events with for helping one another out in home business and networking and participating in events and meeting people, and that's where the fun comes in. We're still, that's work, but it's also play. And when you find that interbalance of the work and play is where the cloud comes into our lives as a functioning device, a functioning tool to make sense of in bettering our world, to actually get from environments that need our active attention, be it growing trees or growing fruits and vegetables, or converting lawns to gardens, but still finding that balance with representing oneself as a divine, kingly individual. And so I don't know what the future will bring, but I'm doing my best to express the different ideas and thoughts that have been going on in my mind on a digital video platform here, rather than just typing it out, because it's different when you see someone type something and then you kind of have your own vibes or maybe views on the way that's being said. If you're in a state of anger or frustration, then that's the way that you're going to read that, is based on a state of anger or frustration. Or if you're in a peaceful place, you're going to read that based on a peaceful kind of way. And so that's where a lot of our over the last 10 years, a lot of the work has been going to is getting it to where people have some type of common sense with, like a common, agreeable sense with how we're going to proceed here. And this isn't just on, and this is where it gets really intricate, it's not just on people who are using the software, but it's also on the developers who are developing the software for us to use. And so, being patient and being grateful and being aware of these things is part of the magic. And so it's kind of all in God's time, as it always has been, always will be. So I don't know if there is chat for this. I'm not even sure if this is fully going live. I think it should be live. I just don't have a preview, I guess, or whatever it is. I don't even know if it's producing at 1080p or if it's producing at 720p. That's where StreamYard might come into play for the best. So I'm like right now in a state of testing out just directly to Facebook. I'm not doing multi-stream. I was using Mob Crush, and that's why I haven't been streaming recently, is because about 2 weeks ago Mob Crush was taken down. So it's kind of like, okay, well now I can't multi-stream free to multiple platforms, and I have to be able to figure out a way to be able to do this whole project in the right way. So that's where me working with being patient with developers and being grateful to developers, because they're doing a lot of the work for free in many ways, and they get paid based on their the commissions that people purchase their software for. And a lot of people just use the software for free, so it's not like a lot of developers are making a lot of money. And that's another reason for the whole giving back every 7 days, to kind of to get to know people who are doing different things, making big projects, and to respect the the ego side of things. If you've ever read the book How to Win Friends and Influence People, it doesn't neglect the ego. It actually says that's what you use to be able to appreciate people, notice things about people, bring it up, use their name, get it to where we're actually being interested, genuinely interested in what people are doing. And the only way for people to really do that is to be presentable in a way that allows for people to want to take a look at what you're doing. So that's what my reasoning as a base for jumping into the cloud, participating with live streaming and participating with gaming is for that intent, and making use long term of why I'm here and why I'd like to be sharing this virtual space with y'all. And this isn't even getting into world versus world. I'm just trying to do map complete here, and I'm all lost. I'm trying to get to this hero point, and I keep going around, and there's a way. I think it might have to go through the water here, but it's down below. And I'm gonna do a real quick search because I don't want to spend forever on this. And I'm gonna go get a glass of water here because my throat's getting a little bit parched. I don't speak this much, so I'm trying to get y'all information and get you tuned in. Check out the guild, ethosdelterrasoul.com, or it's a Facebook page, Ethos Del Terra Soul. And the acronym for that is going to be, I believe, I'm going with EDTS Enterprise. As a enterprise underneath the umbrella of Heavens Up Enterprises. So Heavens Up is a record label, ideally for the world, but really it's meant for people who are actually becoming sensible with what they're doing with the music, and looking to make music for people that gets people moving again and vibing again and making good music, and that's where I'm like, I sometimes struggle. I'm like doing this whole gaming thing and presence with blogging and networking, but I'd like to get back to really focusing in on music, especially when it comes to the music that you've made and being able to comb through all the different tracks and the layers that have a lot of work involving smoothing out, frequencies and getting it to where you're making sense of it. So I really don't like talking about it, but I'm just letting people know that, give credit to the people who are learning the artistries, the digital arts. Give credit, even if they're just learning, and start, giving attention. And that's where the whole blogging piece of the puzzle comes in, because it's a micro way to start inspiring people to keep going and invest in the tools and to make sense of who they are with the World Wide Web now, So Ferndale Southern Hero Point. So I'm just doing a Google search. Echovald Wild Submerged Cathedral is what I'm looking for. Lutgardis Runes. Okay, so I'm in the right place. Underwater Path. So I am actually in the right area. So I need to go down here. And it's almost like skydiving. Head west into the cavern. See, I don't know if I'm going west anymore. See, no, I went. Here it is. It's right here. It has to be right here. It's west into the canyon. Nope, this isn't it. Thought it was it. Go ahead and pick up the spots. 1 second, I'm testing out my audio for system audio. It's giving feedback. I might have to mess with the monitors, but I think that's bringing audio in. Alright, I turned the monitor off. That might have fixed it. Yeah. Alright, so this is kind of partly a test. And I plan to work. There's why I keep missing it. You see that? Right there. Right there. So, yeah, like I plan to get it to where I'm getting out of Twitch, getting out of, you know, these programs that want you to do these jumping through hoops for their, you know, beans or whatever it is. I mean, I technically am using Vigo.tv for a way to communicate, and that's kind of an RPG in and of itself. I mean, there's different PvP, you know, between people who use that software as like an app to be able to communicate with people, which is cool. You know, there's different family battles, PK battles is what it's called. So, you know, I'm sticking around Bigo.tv because it's intricate, you know, it's unique for what it is as a way to earn beans and convert those beans into, you know, real US dollars. And I think you can only have a cap of $4,000 monthly being made on there or something like that. You can only withdraw like $2,000 or $4,000 a month. And then the rest, you know, you have to give out those beans. So I like how that's structured, so, you know, I plan to stick around with that and can just do like my random like late night streams on there, you know, or music. It's pretty much that secondary, you know, I might even have that on running in the background, you know, having that back here type thing, like on the side. Bigo is one of those kind of cool live streaming services, but it's not really like the same as YouTube. You know, I look at YouTube as being a way to be able to present live stuff when you have events that you're walking around or meeting people, you know, your GoPro when you're biking live, or if you're able to transmit wirelessly. You know, there's different ways, you know, you tell it to your phone. There's different ways to go about why you use a social media service. You know, I'm partitioning the gaming out here to my Facebook.com Elysium Gaming, while any type of, you know, audio stuff or video editing stuff will go to the Elysium AV page. So it's facebook.com/ElysiumAV, which is my same URL for Instagram.com/ElysiumAV. But I'm not looking this as like a professional, you know, profile, like I'm a band looking to promote. I'm looking at this as like an avatar presence with an avatar blog for the purpose of the Pay It Forwards movement, Blogupy movement. So, you know, if I were to do an artistic project with a band, you know, you come up with the band and add that to I'd add that to the blog. Like, I'd have a link to the band from the blog somewhere. I'd be like, hey, I'm part of this band, check it out, you know, whether it's on the side as a link, you know, or it could be, you know, however you personally would like to structure that for presenting to others as a hub, you know, presence to make friends in a networking, godly way, you know, goodly way. The good news is the best way I've been looking at it. It's the good news. Share the good news. We're all the good news. We're all a miracle. You know, we're all children of the Most High God, and that's where the framework in communications for being able to magnetize holy presence and holy being whole and like, you know, like a whole. It's kind of like that yin yang eternal fractal movement. You know, there's the only change is or the only thing that's still is change. You know, the only thing constantly is change. Is what I was looking to say there. Give me a minute. I'll be right back. Okay. So I need to protect villages from outside threats, help merchants craft their wares, and establish diplomatic relations by learning Tengu culture. So I can maybe go to this plaque. You know what? Tengu Shrine, maybe? So I can do salute. Respect your elders. Completed.
What are you hearing?
Just some chatter. Blanket prices.
Bow.
Nothing useful.
Here's the different emotes in the game you can do. I really enjoy thank you, which my dad showed me that, and I didn't even know it existed as an emote. I thought that was cool. Military salute. Kneeling. You've seen a lot of people in a lot of places. Do you ever stop being selfish without being forced to? I've seen many people better themselves when faced with the harm they do. I like that. So you don't always have to use force, yes.
What are you hearing?
Just some chatter. Blanket prices. Nothing useful.
None of this has been useful.
At least some of it's interesting. hear Aki go off on me every
Strong.
other day.
Charge! Well, he did make a move on her man. Her Birdman.
Can't be.
Bring him to justice. My blood!
What does it even mean to be?
Whoops. A little bit too far. Still working on the sensitivities with the roller mount. The roller beater mount can be pretty intense. You got the whole drifting when you hit a button, and then being able to work with that. Another thread. I'm looking for plant fiber and dye. Plant fiber is in the lake sediment. Okay. So now I just need dye.
Until next time.
Tomorrow has never been closer.
Bad enough he bought that foul contraption, but does he have to keep it on all day and all night? That human woman's voice burned into my brain. I find her narrating my thoughts sometimes. Terrible. I'm gonna lodge an official complaint that I know.
something good.
That looks valuable.
Okay, it's time for nest raiders. Each team has a nest, and in that nest are the balls, the eggs. You gotta try to steal the eggs from the other team's nest without getting tagged. If you steal an egg from the other team, you put it in your own nest. But be careful, because it can be stolen back. Goal is to capture as many eggs as possible without losing your own. Everyone got it? Good. Let's go!
I couldn't find the die. I don't know where it is. However, I just finished the... let's see here. Finished the heart. Hero challenges, vistas. I just have points of interest now. 5 points of interest. Should go down here and get this one real quick, and then figure out the other 3.
So we're moving these where? The university first.
Okay. So I don't even know if there's a chat for this. Default. That one's. Definitely, I don't think running at 1080p. I don't know, I'm gonna have to check out the live afterwards, see how the sound came out, and make sure all the levels are right. Anyways. So here's one down here. So I'm gonna go to this waypoint and then wrap around. Bye! Alright. Spinach, alright? Let me pick up some spinach if I can get it there. Oh, I'm gonna have to fight for this spinach, eh?
Relentless.
I don't think that's gonna happen. I'm getting out of here. I get sidetracked sometimes with those guys. I think there's some of these herbs. Ooh, varietal cilantro seeds. I think I can plant those. You gotta go down further, I don't know. Sometimes wonder if you have to go, old world be like that, you have to go underwater.
Please, help if you can. I was thinking I only had a 50-50 chance of being killed by the spiders. But I don't even know what these things are. That'll suck.
Reversal.
What did we just see? What were those things? Hopefully that's all of them.
Definitely think I'm going up this way. I feel like I'm in the right area, but I'm just not going the right way.
Strong. I don't have enough energy. Eat
I can't enter the armory on my own. But you... Yes, you can. There's a weapon inside, family heirloom. It will aid the Vasberg family in the fight to come. We used runestones to fortify the vault to keep our enemies out. I can activate them for you. Welcome to the armory. You'll need to find another runestone before you can access the weapon. It's here, somewhere. And watch out for the traps. We were thorough in our security measures.
Refreshing.
This is one of those jumping puzzles, you see? Pretty cool, right? I think it's cool. They did the devs did a really good job in developing this world. The architecture and just kind of the layers, the framework and whatnot. Amber Rimstone, that's good.
There they are. Those things. They feel wrong. Empty.
So nice. Take that. Take the initiative. Advance. I'm back. Advance.
Maybe we'll get out of this, but I don't know. I shouldn't have just rushed across. I don't know, just use a revive orb. Got about an hour in here. I was looking to finish this. Oh. Ooh, just lost it again.
I need healing. Take my dust. Armored up. Advance. Refreshing.
Jade Runestone, okay.
You can never have too much treasure.
I'm down to the living realm. And yet, those things, the void. I fear that even I am not safe from its reach.
Amber runestone, jade runestone.
This will help us end the war. The Vastbergs will thrive. They've survived too long to perish now.
That looks
Is it all
valuable.
done? Maybe I'll find Danica. Tell her.
I was looking to get over here though.
Are you the one that let the emptiness in?
That worked. Didn't have to think too hard about that. There's two more, which I don't really have the desire to go all the way around.
Additional security forces recommended.
Okay. So that's why I didn't get into there. But I still feel like this is still doable. So I'm still gonna try to do it.
Stay alert.
I feel like I'm about ready to call it for today's stream.
Engaging hostiles.
That's how it's done. Without having to do it. Is that? See? No, I have to get out before it. Guess I lived. I don't know. No?
What is outplay? You play and it records. You can choose exactly what you want it to record wherever you.
Did a quick search to figure out which point of interest. I have a feeling it's right. Oh. No, it's not Club Kanash, is it? No, that's the piece right. We go over that with it. I have a feeling it might be this way, but I don't know. It says, There it is, right there. Sometimes they don't spark up when you get to the last ones, or it might spark up, but you don't notice it because it's such a big map. So like if you hover over, you should be able to see where they are. But you kind of have to be... See, it's not even sparking up. So sometimes you have to be careful for that. The game does that sometimes. Like you have to like maybe restart your computer or something, or like log out, log back in, and it might spark up. But when you get to the last ones, it kind of can be like that occasionally. So just know that. And try to work around it. And sometimes it might be because you don't have that part of the map open up, and I think that's what's going on here. Is because I don't have that part of the map open up. That's probably what it is. Okay, that makes sense. So until I open that map, that portion of the map up, it won't show that it's missing. So let's see if that's the case. Yeah, dress, laws, garden, but it doesn't look like it's changed anything, so maybe not. I don't know. That's weird. Okay, so that's gift of Echo Vault Forest right there. Willbender's cache. Oh, another room. Still out of room. Get this out. Get in here. Salvage up fine. Pause at that to get some room here. I want to go to Arborstone real quick. And go ahead and pick up I'm gonna go ahead and pick up the summoning stones for this Monday being reset. I need to get back into raids. I took a week off raiding, and so I'm gonna get back into that. I might be able to get enough by next Monday to create the last piece of my legendary armor for my engineer, and then it's a long journey again to be able to make all your ascended gear, which takes legendary insights also. So I mean, I've only made medium armor legendary gear. I haven't even attempted the light armor or heavy armor. This character is running with ascended armor as a heavy armor class, based on Yassist's different Yassist and to-goes, and so it's kind of got its layout, but I can't change it if I want to change to something a little bit more protection oriented and less condition damage. It's not easy to do that, so it really reduces having ascended gear the playstyle in which Guardian is capable of. So Guardian can do a lot of different playstyles, but if you don't have the right runes and you don't have the right armor class, then you can only kind of stick within a narrow brand of what you know, the Guardian can do. Whether it's within its different specializations, you still have to work with that certain kind of gear class. So just something to think about. The legendary armory is awesome because you can transmute it without having to use transmutation stones, so it's like basically Fashion Wars 24/7. You never have to worry about not being able to change your fashion, because this game does have, you know, if I have like this chest armor here and I go to my wardrobe, the only way for me to change this armor to look like something else is to use a transmutation charge. So I got only 17 of these, and being that it's ascended gear, I can only change my look 17 times with those charges. However, if you have legendary armor, you can change it as many times as you want. and so that's kind of the perks of having legendary armor. It just takes a long time. That's one of the more difficult, if not the difficult aspect of this game next to legendary weapons. It's long, tedious, a lot of work, and you don't necessarily need it to create a character that is capable of doing what a legendary armor can do. You just are stuck within that range for the amount of time that you have that armor and you work for getting your legendary armor for it, or him or her, whatever your avatar is. So I finished Echovald Wilds, I finished Dragon's End, and I finished Satine Providence. I'm gonna quickly go to the monastery here and pick up the there's also a weekly gift you can get with this. A big reason I inspire gaming and networking as playing games, whether you're playing chess or whether you're playing video games, you know, with virtual realms, is mainly for showcasing space and also showcasing activities that are able to be created creatively for space. And you know, just a shout out to the Guild Wars 2 developers and the people who have made this space for us to be able to participate in, and for me to be able to have this space to communicate with y'all about, you know, the dynamics of, you know, having fun with one another online with the cloud. I'd like to see a little bit more team play versus just the status quo type thing. You know, that'll happen in God's time. It's all in God's time. So I'll go to Lukeguard's Plaza here, and I'm going to look for this one last point of interest, and I should be able to combine all 4 of those to make Giptacantha within the Mystic Forge. So after I get this one done, I'm going to go to the Mystic Forge and do that, if this one isn't too difficult. I don't think it should be too difficult at all.
Echovald Adventure Tours, adding a little excitement to your family vacation.
Bringing you back to the true meaning of nature. Innovation.
My system is heating up. I can tell it's propagating a little bit slower right now with me streaming. And this is a big world too. They definitely gave a lot of space with the new expansion. This is End of Dragons expansion, so it's inside of this big city that was lost for 100 years, 130 years, and it was recently introduced, and they had been doing their own thing over here in this land, which basically opens up the game to be able to do a lot of different stuff in the future when it comes to types of gameplays or future Living World series. So what I've noticed about Guild Wars 2 is the expansions aren't so much about more new, you know, raid or new content, but it's more or less the new framework for new content to be created within. Even though Heart of Thorns did kind of work with a lot of content when that expansion was released, but that's kind of what was the precursor into seeing how they could be able to add mounts and seeing the future of the game. So it was a really long story that they were looking to express, and they were building around that story for a long time, since the beginning, or since the beginning of the change, Scarlet's War around 2013, 2014. And so with that, you know, now we're at the end of that story arc. It's been released, and you know, you can catch up by joining in and following the story, your story journal, you know, from the beginning and all the expansions and all the living worlds up until where we're at. And I believe they have released the Scarlet's War, which I'm going to get into as my next live stream here. My achievement points are 964, so I still almost up to 20,000. So I'll probably do some of these hero story journals with my main, and then Living World Season 1. So this hasn't even been fully released yet, so they're redoing the Living World Season 1 and releasing it so that it is in tune with Living World Season 2 and Heart of Thorns. And this is why I was kind of confused in the storyline in my head, because there's always been something that's been off, but the reason is they had to cut out the original, like, because I did those original stories a long time ago, and then they got cut out and you couldn't play them anymore, and now they're redoing it so it creates an actual full story picture from the beginning to the end. But there were some issues at the beginning based on their viewpoint on how to roll the game out, and that's the biggest thing with anything when it comes to digital presence. It's the beginning stages of developing a framework and then seeing how that interplays, and then being able to rework things to be able to go long term with the idea and make use of the idea for a long period of time, and help others to participate in that idea for a long period of time, and it doesn't get lost or basically pushed out of the market compared to other games coming into play. There's always the layers of competitive aspects of the not just the gaming realm, but just our our world in general. There's a lot of competition, and many times that competition has been to sidetrack from the challenges, the actual getting to the truth and the genuine nitty-gritty of why certain things are going on. But that will come with time naturally, now that you have the cloud, ideally, because of the different capabilities of seeing things from a bird's eye view and communicating. Me streaming is adding to the equation and the long list of
That looks valuable.
long list of people communicating out here and letting people know what they're into or what they're doing. For me, I'm just all about being efficient in actions long term, where my actions are capable of being not necessarily duplicated, but reproduced genuinely in your own way or in people's own way, where they can participate. No different than signing into a social media platform and participating, but to do it in a way where you're the creator in use of the social media platforms. You put all these platforms beneath you and use them as such as a platform, and then you learn to represent yourself and take control over your presence, in so much as even creating live streams where you have your own RTMP mapping going directly to your website or blog, versus expecting YouTube or Facebook or Twitch or all these different services to be the place where you're gonna find some level of success with whatever framework that they're giving you, but you're not really reaching the goal of whatever you're looking to do. You're just trying to fit into the goal of what they want you to do, and that's where the challenge is with the full range expressions. And that's why I'm like, my base is I'll give back every 7 days, pinning blogs to others who want to be my friend genuinely through pinning a blog together, and we could say, hey, we're doing something as friends here. We're not just saying, oh yeah, Facebook says I have this many friends and therefore we're friends. It doesn't make any sense if there's not actual genuine actions of back and forth beyond just liking and pushing emote buttons or commenting, but to actually create a purpose beyond it, where it's not like I expect anything more or less out of you than you would expect anything more or less out of me, because we're sharing the road and doing our best to present ourselves anyways in a common light. And that's where the layers involving the World Temple and the New World Temple and giving back every 7 days comes into play, because it becomes that almost like a ritual or like a practice that can allow for maintaining that practice habitually, which gives a sense of flow in people feeling like they're belonging here in this planet. They're like, we belong here and we have a purpose here on this planet, and we can make sense of the cloud as well as one another as children of God, or children of the Most High God, as brothers and sisters, as children of the Most High God, for developing better. And so that's what I'm here for, and that's what I'm set up to do. And I'm at the point in my life where I'm transitioning, because the technology is kind of settling. I've been getting away with testing out, Mob Crush and expressing myself, so that the developers maybe, who knows if there's been developers who've been watching me from behind the scenes. I don't know who's who. I've been pretty much blind by myself, asking for help. However, the way that people prior to the internet view someone needing help, and the layers of what it means to help someone, and the way that I'm asking for help, knowing that I put myself in a position where the help is more about helping yourself and rising in a sustainable humble, appreciative, grateful way, or grateful light, alongside others, being thankful for the environments that we've created, but also knowing that they really need to be updated and they could be better, and there's a best, and communicating what that best would be, and developing that long term, and use the space, the video game space or the entertainment space, as a way to relax while we do it. So it should be fun, it shouldn't be stressful, it should be, a chill way to better our world as brothers and sisters in that kind of loving light, but not getting lost in the shenanigans that brothers and sisters be doing. And so it is what it is. All right, I'm gonna make this map complete.
Nice gear.
Gift of Cantha, and then I'm gonna have to come back later this maybe early this morning or some other point and finish out the rest of this this legendary. I'm making the legendary shield, so I've got the shield here somewhere. Somewhere. Oh, there it is. Yeah. So dragon scale. So I'm making the dragon scale shield, and this will have a bunch of different effects with it, rather than just the metal for the that's just the metal design for it. So once I combine all the different pieces, like the map and a bunch of other stuff, which I'll do on the next live stream that I work with here. I mainly just wanted to make sure that this was working. This is my first test with Facebook, and I'm directly streaming to Elysium Gaming for this. I'm not multi-streaming to other platforms. And I'm looking at StreamYard, unless anyone out there who's watching this has any better suggestions to multi-stream and to stream to RTMP. If you're into, participating with me in this way, where you're wanting to rise as a gamer, artist, networker, all the above, or maybe just one or two, a chef, or curious about cooking, whatever you're into, it's more about what you're passionate about, not what you're looking to professionally present. It's a way to be able to start expressing yourself now and being in the mix of earning with others online and creating secondary, third, fourth income streams, seeing what people are doing to earn out there. Like, because this game has the trade market, Black Lion trading post, it's similar to stocks and stock markets. So as I express, I'll be expressing different tools that I'm using for being involved in, whether it's forex trading or the stock market, and knowing that there's all types of apps out there, it's a way for me to express myself, how I'm using or what I'm using and how I'm setting myself up. I'm not forcing anybody to do that in that way. I'm just sharing how I'm doing it and how you are able to do it as well. However, feel free to be unique about the way that you present yourself and what you're sharing to others. You don't have to copy me 100% toe-to-toe. However, I've learned from others by copying them and bringing all the little pieces together to make sense of where I'm at right now. So where I'm at right now is what you will see if you take a peek glimpse at it, and that's no different than any other creator out there in the world. So no matter what, there's always this sense of it's always in production. If it's live, if it's a website, it's always in play. And the next stages after that would be trade skills, hemp, bamboo, but a lot of the new clothing, and I see fashion becoming in the hands of individual creators with these places to stand and being able to make clothes and different things on a micro scale. Well, there's only a few of them being made, but they're high quality and they don't waste up the what's it called, the waste cycles for fast fashion like these big conglomerate stores. But you get back to being sensible about what you're making for to sell or for family, and get it to where you're bringing a lot of the holistic care back into the homes, whether it's gardening or making making your own clothes with different fibers, or getting fibers shipped and working with better materials. There's a lot of capabilities with shipment and our global market in play, and not neglecting that. Not saying we have to go back into the Stone Age, but to see where there's that interplay where you don't let the technology and the civilization completely consume the expression and that holistic care, but you also rise with the holistic care, and you don't, you don't let the, the environments neglect that and let, the doctors say, oh, just trust us 100%. I'm all about that 51-50, and that 51 should always be with your journey and your divine expressions in awareness of sharing the road or sharing the net, sharing the dream alongside others. That's why I love Sylvari. The Sylvari is my main character, Elysium. I'll go ahead and finish this out with my main, being that this is Elysium Gaming. Elysium is my first character that I made in 2012. And the gear's gotten a lot better on him since the first time I logged in, but really it's not too much different than what it was, and it's not really about the fashion wars. That's just that extra perk of this game. But there's really, like, I remember playing, I'm gonna finish this out with, I remember starting this game and playing almost kind of like an EverQuest slow pace, pushing 1, 1, 1, 1, and maybe a little bit of the side buttons, and occasionally I would roll, but I died a lot because I wasn't as sharp on that rolling. It was like, oh, I'd move, but I was still moving like based on older game mechanics rather than this game can be really fast paced. If you just get out of that circle in time, you're not going to have that debuff and you're not going to have that damage done to you, and you'll keep living. But it's very action oriented, and so you have to kind of shift your mind into the state of, it's not just the numbers going off, it's really action oriented. If they're pointing at you with their weapon and you get behind them while they shoot, they're not going to hit you. It's going to go past you. So there's that interplay, and it's really fun. It really can get really unique with the world versus world, player versus player battles and skirmishes, and as well as just working with each other and accomplishing different things in the game and feeling a sense of success with people with people from around the world with their characters from wherever they're at. So whereas I've put a lot of time and energy into my character, I can help out a group that's new to the game and get through things with others who are also a little bit of experience. So if you have like 2 people who are experienced with 4 other people to make a group that aren't as experienced, the 2 people can carry that group and make things a little bit easier. And you see that happening all the time in this game. And there's so many people, you never know where really people are at or what they're doing or what they're working on. There's end-game users who are doing beginning game stuff because they missed it when it first came out, and there's stuff that I do that's beginning just for achievements or whatever it is. So feel free to download the game at guildwars2.com or check it out on steam.com. It's recently released there, and you can download it and start getting to where your points are actually adding to your account. There may be a way for you to be able to transfer old account prior to it being on Steam and upload it to where you can start getting those points, but I don't know anything about that. I've done a little bit of video searches about it, but I haven't fully delved in and gotten it to work. I just got this stream to work today for my character. So check out the guild, check out the community. Would love to have you, and feel free to set up a time on EDTS/30, and there's a link somewhere on my blog for that. Sign up to the mall and I can get you signed up. The times to do that with me is 9 a.m. to 12. Otherwise we'd have to set up something in the evening, or I can get you signed up, as long as you message me. I'll take a moment while I'm gaming, because most of the time the games are just the games. I'll gladly, while live streaming, pause to get anyone signed up to the online mall and get you in. Because once you're in, and you're good to go to help others get signed up or to purchase items for yourself and enjoy the perks of being part of the club membership to that. So, alright y'all, thanks for watching. Talk to you soon. More to come.